Hey guys, I want to go through the graphs on last week's assignments. The papers that I saw that you turned in looked like you had a little trouble with some of those, so I just want to take a few minutes and walk through 3 of those graphs. All right. You will know that my drawing is bad, but we'll manage. So we're on section 2.3, and I want to talk about number 3. So let's see what kind of numbers I need to put on here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, letter A. Letter A says the limit of f of x as x approaches -3 is 4. So when x is -3 and y is 4, I don't know if I'm going to have a filled in circle or an open circle. I just know that coming from both sides, my graph approaches that point. I'll be able to tell if it's filled in or open, hopefully in a little bit. Let me get rid of that, try to do that a little bit better. Let's look at B. The limit of f of x as x approaches 5 is f of 5. So I know that f of 5 means the point when x is 5, y is whatever. Well, I have no idea what it is, so I'm just going to make it up. And what I know is the limit is that point. Now, one thing I want you to understand is that means as x approaches 5 from both sides, and a lot of you just put approaching 5 from the left, but you have to do it approaching 5 from both sides. Now look at part B. Part B says f is decreasing on -3 to 2. That is not a point, -3, 2. That is the interval. That means between -3 and 2. So what I know between -3 and 2, I know my graph is, whoops, what did I do? I know my graph is going to be decreasing. That's DEC. Part E says, oh, sorry, part D, I skipped it. Part D says f of -3 is -2. That's a point. When x is -3, y is -2. So guess what that tells me? That tells me that up here, this is an open circle. So what I know this is going to be an open circle, and it's going to approach 4 from both sides. So I know getting from this open circle all the way over to x equal 2, the graph is going to be decreasing. Let's see what part E says. The limit of f of x as x approaches 2 from the left is less than the limit of f of x as x approaches 2 from the right. So what that tells me is as x approaches 2, now I'm going to dot this in. It's not an asymptote. This is just a helping line for me at x equal 2. It is not part of the graph. It is not an asymptote. As x approaches 2 from the left, I'm getting closer to some point, but it is less than the point that I'm approaching as x gets closer to 2 from the right. So I could do something like this. I could do something like this. As x approaches 2 from the left, I don't even know where that open circle is. At x equals, let's pretend that's at x equals 0. And as x approaches 2 from the right, I'm getting closer and closer to what have I got, about 2.5. So the limit from the left of x equal 2 is less than the limit from the right. So let's go back over this and let's see if we got everything. Now I'm going to erase the stuff that I don't need. Part A, is the limit as x approaches -3 equal to 4? Yes, it is right here. And notice it's from both sides. Is the limit as x approaches 5 equal to f of 5? Yep, it sure is. Do you see that that's not an open circle? It's a closed circle. Part C, is the function decreasing between x equal -3 and x equal 2? Yep. Part D, is the point -3, -2 on my graph? Yep, right there. I got too many arrows and stuff in here. And then part E is the limit as x approaches 2 from the left, which is here, less than the limit as x approaches 2 from the right, which is here. Yep. So this is one perfectly acceptable graph. You could have others, but this one works. Now let's go to 2.4. We're going to look at both of those graphs. Let's see, we're looking at number 2 on 2.4. The limit of the function as x approaches 0 is infinity. As x approaches 0 from both sides. So that means from both sides of x equals 0, this thing is going up. Part B, the limit of f of x as x approaches infinity. So as x is going out here, is infinity. So what I know is that as x gets bigger, y gets bigger. So it's going to go up like that. Part C, the limit of f of x as x approaches -infinity, so that means as x goes way out here, is 2. So there's my horizontal line, x equal 2. And as x approaches -infinity, the y values are getting closer and closer to 2. So let me kind of draw what that could look like. That could look like this. Now on the right side of x equals 0 over in quadrant 1, so what could that look like? Well, that could look like this. Now, is that the only way it can look? No, heavens no. But that is one way it could look because that satisfies all those criteria. Now finally, let's look at number 3. So this is still on 2.4, but it is graph number 3. Ooh, what is that? Let's try that again. Number 3, the limit of f of x as x approaches -infinity is infinity. So as x goes this way, y goes this way. So I know my graph is going to go up like this somehow. Part B, the limit of f of x as x approaches -3 from the right, from numbers bigger than 3, is infinity. Okay, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to put x equals -3. Now this is not an asymptote. All that is just a guideline to help me to know what I'm doing. As x approaches -3 from the right, my graph is approaching infinity. So I know my graph is doing something like that. Part C, the limit of f of x as x approaches -3 from the left is -infinity. So as x is getting closer and closer to -3 from this side, the graph is approaching -infinity. So I know it has to do something like this. Last one, the limit of f of x as x approaches infinity is -1. So I'll go down here and at -1, boy, I can't draw straight on this, can I? As x approaches infinity, so as x is going out here, the y values are getting closer and closer to -1. So my graph, you know what, let's do this. Let me erase that. My whole graph on this side could look like this. Because what I've got is x approaches -3 from the right. My function's approaching infinity. As x approaches infinity, my graph is approaching -1. Now let's go over to the left side of that vertical line that I drew at x equal -3. How are we going to make that happen? Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go like this. You can cross the horizontal asymptote, that's okay. As long as you're not crossing the horizontal asymptote on the ends, you are fine. So we've got as x approaches -infinity, the y values are approaching infinity, and we've got as x approaches -3 from the left, the graph approaches -infinity. This is a perfectly acceptable graph. If you have other questions about the graphs, please holler at me. I will be happy to go through those with you one-on-one. See you later.